I'm Sensei Allison, and welcome back to our JavaScript Computer Science Concept Kata series. This is another lesson on loops, and today we're going to be diving into a real-life demo of how loops are useful in real games. We now have 3 kinds of loops in our JavaScript toolboxes. We're going to use those to build understanding of how gameplay flows in our code. Let's return to Brick Breaker. We talked about Brick Breaker's use of conditionals in a previous video. Brick Breaker actually has a lot of things to check quite often. The key here is the game loop. This is the sequence of steps that the computer runs through every time it generates a new frame of Brick Breaker. Let's walk through it together. First, the game has to decide what to do based on whether the user hasn't started the game yet, is playing, is leveling up, or has lost. We'll follow the steps for what to do during gameplay in this example. We refer to the steps to take during gameplay by a name, and store the actual code statements elsewhere. We'll talk about these really soon, in a video about functions. So, the name of the sequence to follow during gameplay is update objects. The definition of update objects is right here. In turn, update objects names some other sequences to follow. These names describe what the smaller sequences of steps hope to achieve. This is super helpful when we're trying to understand a program, so do your future self a favor and use descriptive names for things, down to what actually happens while the player is in the middle of a game. First, the computer updates the position of the paddle and the ball. This is really similar to how we updated the bouncing ball, which we talked about in our last video. Updating the paddle and the ball means erasing the old drawing and redrawing them according to its new position on the X and Y axes. After we redraw the ball and paddle, we check whether either of them have crossed the boundaries of gameplay. This is how we check that the ball has not gone off the screen. After we check that the paddle and the ball have not gone off the screen, we check whether the ball has hit the paddle, so we know whether to flip its direction so it can bounce, and then we check whether the ball has hit a block, so we know whether to remove that block. After we check whether the ball has hit a block, we use a for loop to update all of the blocks, which are in a list. And updating might mean recognizing that you were just hit and you should delete a block. So I hope you enjoyed learning all the secrets of the JavaScript browser-based game loop. Be sure to come back soon for the last video on loops, where we'll do our design exercise on Space Invaders. See you soon!